Well, welcome everyone. It's a short week this week, and I know it's probably a busier week as a result of that. So thank you very much for joining us today. So this is our last Lunch and Learn of 2025. And PRSN, I'm sure you're all aware, so I'm not going to go into detail about what we do here at the Private Refugee Sponsor Network, but we're looking to an exciting 2026 series to continue what we've started to build here this year. I'm really excited to introduce Kathy Hanley, who is our guest speaker today. And what I will do is, rather than me take up a lot of airtime introducing her, I'll get her to introduce herself in a minute. Kathy is calling in from Pictou County in Nova Scotia, beautiful Nova Scotia. And Kathy, how is the weather there today?
It's good today, about 15 degrees. It's balmy here for October.
That's great. You know, it's global warming. I think we're reaping the benefits here in Toronto as well. It's a bright, sunny day. And it's very unusual for this late in the year for that to be the case. Kathy, by way of background, can you share with us your professional experience before you retired, and especially what motivated you to become a sponsor?
So I'm a retired English teacher, but at the end of my career, I went to teach in South Korea. And then my husband joined me in China, in Shanghai, China, and we lived there. So I was 2 years in South Korea and 2 years in Shanghai. And then we came back in 2015. And I think what motivated us here in Pictou County to become involved with sponsorship, and as with many other organizations, was a little Syrian boy on the beach. And so the death of the young boy. So we started a community group, but it is based out of Trinity Church, which is where I am right now in Glasgow. And so that's how we started in sponsorship. And why I volunteered is because I thought of newcomers coming to Canada and how difficult it is to come to a place where you don't speak the language. After living in South Korea and China for 2 years, I knew what it felt like to live in a country where I can't be understood, and I didn't understand the customs. And so I felt that I knew how they would feel. And so that's how we started in 2015.
Kathy, that's so interesting that you have had in South Korea and Shanghai this feeling you talked about as being a newcomer. Can you talk a little bit about what that felt like?
Well, I just understood. I mean, I tried to learn the language, but it's difficult, and the food is difficult. I'd go to the grocery store, I didn't know what to buy, and I couldn't read the labels. But they did have a Costco. That was good. We went to Costco, but so those kinds of things, or even, we didn't have a car, so we had to use the transportation. And here, in Pictou County, we're a rural setting, and so transportation is a big problem here. If you don't, we do have a little bus line now, but it's really hard to get around. So those kinds of difficulties that I found, and then I thought, well, I'm going to help these people that come here to understand what it's like to live in Canada.
That's wonderful, Kathy. I will ask all of our audience members, we will leave room at the end of this conversation with Kathy to ask any questions you want. But even during the conversation, if you want to type into the chat a question, I will selectively pull on that question to ask Kathy, depending on where in the conversation we are and if it fits in that moment in time. So feel free to do that. Kathy, so you mentioned one challenge being a community sponsor group in Pictou County, which doesn't have a huge infrastructure as far as transportation goes. So can you maybe tell us of all the families your group has sponsored over the years? Like,
Yeah.
how have they integrated and settled into Pictou County?
So we started off with the first family is a Syrian family that came in February of 2016. And the first, I think I wrote down, the first 9 families that we brought were all BVOR families, right? So the government paid half, we paid half. And so that there was that one family. And then I don't know, are you familiar with the white helmets out of Syria? They were the
So I,
yeah.
I am, but for the benefit of those on the call who are not, do you want to maybe just talk about who they are?
So the white helmet people, they're not just men, they're women too. They were the people in Syria that after the buildings were bombed, they would go in and try to find people and take them to hospitals and stuff. And they wore white helmets, and that's why they were targeted. But then they were targeted by was the president who said they were terrorists. And at all of a sudden, they had to get out of Syria. So we were approached. We had one family. We were approached, and we were asked if we would take 5 families in 1 month. And another in Pictou, I think they took 3, another organization nearby. So we took 5 families. Can you imagine? 5 families in 1 month. This is in 2016. And we didn't know what we were doing. And anyways, we actually got some money from a local large corporation that you may know from here called Sobeys. And they helped us out and helped us to hire an individual who came and actually from Ontario, from Ottawa, and she helped us coordinate that all because we didn't have any language services. We didn't have anything. And when we look back, we don't know how we did it. And we brought 5 families in. And then we thought we were doing such a great job. We brought another 3 families. I think they're from the DRC. These again were BVORs. And then I would say half of those families have stayed, of all those families have stayed in Pictou County. So we decided that what we needed to do was do what do you call family unification, that these people that were already here, they had families, large families, some of them. And so what we've been concentrating on since then is family unification. And of course, as you all know, then it has to be a private sponsorship, and then you have to raise all the money yourself, right? So that was difficult, but we did. And since then we've brought 2 other private sponsorships who are related to the people that are already here. And we have 7 more families in the queue right now. Like 2 are in Lebanon, 2 in Kenya, 1 in Uganda, and I have 1 more that I'm working on right now that they are in parents, a mom and a dad, and 4 children, and they're related to people that are already here. So we got going. I thought we were done. And then we just keep going. There's more and more people. Some of the people that we're helping now, they're financially, like the sisters and brothers, they're helping us financially too. We're fundraising, but they're helping out with the money too. Like some of them are funding the whole thing themselves, and we're just doing the legwork. And so we're waiting on families now. And I'm nervous about when they come because I'm just like you people in Ontario. Housing's a big problem here. So we're going to have to be very creative when these people come. But we're up to the challenge. And we have a big volunteer group and so we're doing a great job, I think.
Uh, Kathy, so much of what you said I think resonates with a lot of the sponsors on this call today, and more largely the subscribers to PRSN. I'm struck by one thing, and how powerful a photograph can be in starting journeys like yours in the community in Pictou County and here in Ontario have really catalyzed good people around this country to do the work that you are doing. And it seemed like you jumped into the deep end with 10 families all within a month. And as you said, you didn't know what you were doing, but you kind of figured it out. Such a valuable way, probably not the best ideal way to learn how to do this effectively. But when you look back at this experience, so you've got 8 families that came through the blended visa office program, the BVOR program, 2 that came through the private sort of sponsorship, and 7 more in the wings to arrive here in Canada. Have you noticed any differences between those that arrived through BVOR versus the family reunification pathway that you're now pursuing?
Well, we've only had 2 that came through the private sponsorship so far, but I think the difference is since they have family already here, it kind of took the burden, not it's not a burden. It kind of took the pressure off us because they knew what the tax system was and they knew what the weather was like. And, they told them, you do have to buy boots. You can't wear your sandals all year round, so they helped us, they've helped us out. So that's the biggest difference, or that's probably the only difference. I think that I have a feeling that the people that are like the private sponsorships that we're doing that have people that already live here and already are established here are going to stay here, right? And that's, yeah, I'm not saying that you can't come here if you're not going to stay. But, it's nice to have people to build a community. Like we didn't have a mosque here. I mean, we had Muslim people living in Pictou County, but that we now have a mosque. We have English classes and, we have all kinds of support that we didn't have in the beginning. In a rural, we're 2 hours from Halifax, and I think there'd be 40,000 people in our combined area. So, yeah. So I don't think there's any difference except that the people coming they have support because they can explain to them. One thing is interesting. Our first family, they didn't speak any English at all. And when the white helmet people came, her English was good enough by then that she acted as the translator, so that was kind of cool, and I would say that almost all the BVOR people and not the PSR people are all Canadian citizens now, except for
Now,
one, I think, two.
okay. We're definitely going to get
Yeah.
into that part of the conversation about citizenship.
Yeah.
How large is your community sponsor group? How many people do you have in Pictou County that are supporting the work that you do?
Well, we're in New Glasgow, and we like based out of New Glasgow. I don't live here, but when we first started, we had like 100 people, but now we're probably, more like 40 people but I know if I need anything or any, if like I don't know, like a piece of furniture or help with a drive or something, I can get help with the volunteers. I just have to call out to them. And there's those 10 people too that what do they say? Same 10 people, I like they're always there to help out.
That's fantastic. And do you use WhatsApp or how do you communicate with 140 people with each other when you have questions or help?
Just email and but not WhatsApp, just regular email. And we try to have we have a board of directors. I'm on the board of directors. And we just added 2 other people to the board of directors that are the relatives of the people that are coming. So we also said to them, we want you to, so much to say, so little time. The RSTP program, we've
Yeah.
asked them now to get involved with that because, a lot of us that started are older and we're trying to get younger people in to volunteer. Plus, like, so these people that are related to the people that are coming, we said, you know, we're helping, let's all help together as a community. So we need your help too. And they were very happy to step up and be involved. So, one guy's from, where is he from? Not South Sudan, but the
Yeah.
DRC, I think. So those two we've added to our board of directors. And so that will help us as we go forward, I hope.
Yeah, so it's amazing to me that that photograph, the evolution since that photograph has impact on you, Kathy, and the group in Pictou County has been 100 people got together, sponsored families, 8 of which arrived, and now you're evolving into a family reunification group. But you're building community. The new
Yes.
arrivals, are helping assist in that integration, and it
Mhm.
looks like you're doing a wonderful job. If I could create a case study from Pictou County and what you've done over the last few years, I think it's worth spreading to the rest of the country as well. It's a combination of goodwill, collaboration, and you know the voice of the newcomers. You're integrating that now into your board of directors, which is a fantastic step.
Mhm.
Now, in this journey, Kathy, I know the reason I've asked you to be a speaker today is you've actually established yourself as an expert, a local expert on citizenship. So let's go back to the first families that arrived that are now citizens. You have been instrumental in kind of walking them through that journey. But on day one, when they arrived
Mhm.
here, was this even in their mind, Canadian citizenship? Like, at what point in the journey did this conversation start?
I think it wasn't in their mind. They first came. The first family came in February. Can you imagine? It was cold and snowy, and yeah, that wasn't on their mind. And most of them didn't know what they were, where they were coming to. Um, so I think by the time that everybody gets to that 3 year point, they're all very conscious of that. Like, do we have enough days? And then they're interested. And that first family, like I don't see myself as an expert, but I was the only one, right? So somebody said, can you help us? So then at that time you did paper copies. You had to do it all by paper and then mail it in. It's all done online now through a portal. But so I said, well, I don't know, let's just fill it out, see how we do. And um, so that's kind of how you got into it. I mean, if you look at sponsorship, I mean, it's only a year sponsorship, right? I mean, financially, but morally, like these people are part of your family now, like all of them. So, especially the first family. Um, anyways, they feed you every time that you go there. You can't go out, leave their house without food and all that kind of stuff. Recently I was really busy in the summertime, but this same first family, they said, "Can we come to your house?" I knew they were coming with dinner. It's great. So they don't come without food. And so that family, I helped them. So I think they're all very cognizant of the fact that when you get to that 3 year time, you get the number of days in that you can apply for citizenship. And then everybody else, when they get to that point, they want their citizenship, but also now they want to get their Canadian passports, right? So they get their citizenship and then they want their passports. And two families, no, one, well, three families I know, three Syrian families actually went to Syria this summer, and because they had their passports and they were quite anxious to do that. So there, and looking at the political situation today, they all want their Canadian passports. So they have to get their Canadian citizenship so they can get their Canadian passports. And so I just kind of fell into it. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, people wanted to do get their citizenship, but you couldn't help them, study or whatever. So I actually did a course online during the pandemic, and it's all laid out. It's really easy to do, and I taught a course once a week, and I had like, I don't know, 10 people or something, and they followed along. And so then, I don't think most Canadians could answer the questions either. I had to study it a lot myself. Um, I like the government part of it, but and the geography part of the citizenship, but the history, I'm not good on that. So anyways, it's not easy. And I think only one person had to write it twice. So they've done pretty good job of all wanting to get their citizenship for sure.
I'll come back to your learning process with the citizenship application early on when it was just paper-based. But before that, I want to ask those families that now have a Canadian passport that you sponsored and they've made international travel, have they shared stories? Like, how different is it traveling with a Canadian passport versus whatever they had before, Syrian or other
Well,
passport?
they didn't have they never traveled before, they'd never been anywhere. And so, actually, I haven't talked, since they got back, I haven't really talked to them personally. I know the travel, they found it long and convoluted, and but they're not very, they came here and that was it, so they hadn't been anywhere else really. So going back was the only, those are the only three families I know that have gone back to Syria, but they want that Canadian passport in their hands.
Thanks, Kathy. Kathy, going back to that learning process you went through, helping families apply for citizenship when it was paper-based, and you learned by doing, because you entered this without really understanding the process. Looking back on that now, are there any mistakes that you made that you learned from that you think it's worthwhile the people on the call knowing about? And then also talk about the change in IRCC paper-based versus now it's largely online. Is it any different, or what are things to watch out for here?
Well, it's complicated online. It's um like the way that you have to account for where you've lived, and it just goes backwards, and you think you've put it in and you haven't put it in. And the other thing too, that so it is a little complicated, and I'm a techie, I like technology, but it is difficult to figure out, well, if I put the address in here and it doesn't come up. And so there are complications. I think it was easier on paper, but the one thing that I think people should tell their people is you must save all your documents. Don't think, don't get rid of your documents, because even one of the people that applied for citizenship the other day, they wanted their what's it called? That piece of paper before you get your COPR, your confirmation of permanent residence, that long paper. So the passport people wanted that. And I said, what? Why do they want that? They have well, they don't have a permanent residence card anymore. They have they have Canadian citizenship, but they wanted that. Like, what? I even got into a little argument with the person and said, why are you discriminating against these people? They have Canadian citizenship, like, I don't understand that. And then other people, they weren't asked for that. So the most important thing is to save all your documents. I had a guy the other day that came to me. He carried them around in his car and they got wet and they're all stuck together, and I said, but I think you can get replacements. One person had to get a replacement and pay $50 for it. But, keeping all your documents, that's so important.
That's really valuable advice, Kathy. And I got a chuckle when you said you got into a little bit of an argument with, I'm assuming it was IRCC. It's a fairly common experience, like with many of us on this call. You're lucky you actually got a person to be argumentative with, because most times it's online and you can't get a hold of anyone in person. It's
No,
really frustrating.
but we do have support here. Sean Fraser is the
Oh, yes.
Minister of Justice and the current Attorney General, or the Minister of Justice and Attorney General. He's our local MP, right? So he has an office here, and we do have some, and I don't know if you can do this where you are, but one of, I don't know what her title is, but somebody that works in the office, she contacts IRCC once a week with problems. And so I have had problems and now I can't get through and she can get through. So that's one way, that you need to, that one way you can get through, like, instead of sitting. And here's the problem, like, I've had people that had problems and they're working full time, right? And they can't sit on the phone and wait for 2 hours. And the people won't speak to you. They want to speak to the person. And so sometimes I had to sit in my car at people's work at lunchtime so that we could try to get through, because that's hard. People work. They can't be sitting on the phone, so that is a
I
problem.
think,
But
and I
yep.
Kathy, I think you've touched on something that is a universal sort of frustration with all of us as sponsors. Is IRCC is a bit of a black box, but you were lucky because Sean Fraser was at one point the minister of IRCC, so you had privileged access through him as your local MP. But I think it's worthwhile telling everyone on this call, your local MP, even though he or she may not be the minister of IRCC, is an access point to be able to hopefully get through the logjam of just non-response or no person being able to help out. I have a
do want to
question.
tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No, go
I
ahead.
just want to tell you one quick one. You asked me, I know one of the questions, you said something that, a stellar thing or whatever. So this first family that I'm telling you about, they own a restaurant here, a Syrian restaurant in New Glasgow. And they, not a lot of the ceremonies now are online, not in person. Here, some are, but some aren't. Most of them are online ceremonies, citizenship ceremonies. But for Rania and her son Mohammed, we had a in-person ceremony, get this, on the waterfront in Halifax on the 1st of July. And as the judges and people came down, on this place on the waterfront, Sean Fraser was playing the bagpipes. So how cool is that? So that to us, like 20 or 30 of us from Pictou County Safe Harbor, we were all there, just so proud of this first family and Sean Fraser being there because, having his support is just been monumental. So I just wanted to share that quick story.
That's amazing. I know Sean Fraser is a very tall man, so I can just imagine the picture of him just towering above everyone else.
Yeah.
So we have an audience question from Gail, which I hope you can answer, Kathy. So was for the families that you went through the application process for their citizenship, was language requirement a barrier for any of those newcomers?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, talk about
yes,
that.
because you have to have level 4, right? And I have a couple situations. One guy, uh, and we're actually I'm in the process right now. We're applying for a waiver because he has a cochlear implant, and that has been a barrier. Like, I don't think he has passed like grade 6 education, and he only got the cochlear implant when he came to Canada. So we're applying for a waiver for, and there, you can do this, and I know another person that did this, for him to be exempt from the language component. But in most cases, that's what held people back. Then there's another guy. He said, did you don't have to write the test. If no, you have to write the test between 18 and 54. He said, well, first of all, he wanted me to write the test for him and he was going to pay me. But I said, no. I'm not gonna do that. And then he said he would wait till he was 55. But actually, this guy did write the test and pass it, and we were so proud of him. But another guy, he waited till he was 55, right? So then you don't have to have the language component, and you don't have to write the test, right? So
That's great. Another practical question here is it deals with the evolution from paper-based over to digital online applications for citizenships. So would PDF documents suffice today, or do they want originals? This is coming from
well,
Heather.
yeah, you have to upload them to the portal, right? So yeah, yes, you can have PDF, but there are situations where they want, I know I'll try to make this short. I'm having difficulty with one person because when we had his documents translated, his name is not spelled the same way as all his documents say, right? So this is a huge problem. And this, actually, we've been working on this for 2 years. And because we have to go through vital statistics. So the other day they said they wanted his marriage certificate. They wanted the original marriage certificate out of Syria. He doesn't have it. He only has a PDF. So, I'm still working on that with them. And so but for just a regular, if all your documents are good and they're just uploaded to the portal. Yep, so the digital are okay. But never get rid of your originals because you never know who's going to ask for them at some point in time.
Okay. Donna, I want to go back to this waiver on the language competency for the citizenship application. So Donna says or asks, what's your experience in getting the waiver due to language restrictions? And Bill has followed up with a comment that he's heard that waiver requests actually extend the citizenship process by quite a lot. Can you comment on either the question as well as that experience from Bill?
Yes. So the other one I didn't apply for. It's through another group that's in Pictou County, like they're actually in Pictou, and they applied for a waiver for someone who they felt didn't have the intellectual capacity to do the test, and I'm not sure how long that took, but it was approved. And so then we felt confident with this guy with the cochlear implant that we could do the same. But it's taking a long time because you're right, it does extend because we have to get the waiver signed by a doctor, and his doctor's in Halifax. And so I've already been there once. They wouldn't let me give them the documents. Can you believe this? It's crazy. I had the documents. They wouldn't take them from me. They had to take them from him. And it's like a 2-hour drive, right? So and we can't pop them in the mail these days. And so yes, it does, because now we're waiting for them to come back from the doctor, and I think it's like, it's a month anyways.
Yeah, but knowing that is important. Pros and cons, eyes wide open. If you're going to apply for waiver, you've got to be prepared for the extension to the process. Um, One other thing, Kathy, you mentioned that over the course of you learning by doing about this process, you taught people about it, a mini course per se. Would you be willing to share? Bill is asking the materials that you developed with PRSN. That's
Yeah,
awesome. I'll
and
follow up
also,
with you separately.
yeah, and also there's a very good, I'll share the link to there, lots of practice, online practice things, especially one out of Richmond. Is it Richmond Library? It has an excellent one. In my free time, I just run through the quiz, right? Make sure I can answer the questions. So there are a lot of places like that where you can practice, and I can share. I could give you the course, because I have it online. And what was the other thing I was going to say about, no, anyways, I forgot.
Okay. You mentioned RSTP. Can you tell us how they fit in with your learning journey? And if they weren't involved on day one, they certainly are involved now. So talk a little bit about RSTP's involvement.
I know in the beginning, well, like when we didn't know what we were doing, and I'm not saying that we know now, but we sure know a lot more. I remember I used to call RSTP all the time, and there's this one girl, I can't remember her name now, but I said, "You're my new best friend," because I talked to her every day, because we didn't know what to do about this and what to do about that. And certainly now, I just finished the introductory course, with the tests and the exam and all that. I thought I knew what I was doing. So no, there's a whole pile of information out there, and we start to say that these people, well, remember I told you the two new directors, they both took the course, that introductory course. No, they're excellent. And I know through our saws in Antigonish, um, I often have questions like for the applications, and then I send it to them, but I know they're going back to RSTP to get the answers for questions. So yeah, no, they're like, there wasn't anything like there were back then. There was nothing. We were just flying by the seat of our pants. Yeah.
Mike wants to ask if this is a barrier, and that's the fees associated with citizenship application. They certainly have increased over the years, but how has your group dealt with the cost of application?
We apologize. I think it's horrendous. I think it's $650. I mean, it's horrendous that it should be so expensive. Uh, you know, by the time well, all of them, I guess, by 3 years, they're all working, and they know how much it's going to cost, and most of these people too are sending money home, and I felt badly. I'm embarrassed that it costs so much money, really. And so is it a barrier? No, because they'll save up, and you know it is difficult for online. When you do it online, you have to pay for it online. None of these people, or most of them, don't have credit cards or anything. So I end up paying for it myself with a credit card, and then they give it to me in cash. I tell them, just give it to me in 30 days. It'll be all right. So
Okay. And you haven't discovered any sort of workarounds of this cost. It's sort of a must do.
yeah, no, I workarounds with the government. No.
I thought I would ask, because you have learned by doing. Okay, fair enough. Um,
No.
Well, Kathy, this has been a wonderful conversation. I want you to stick around, but I do want to call on some of our PRSN Services Committee members who are sponsors themselves, and they've gone through journeys that probably parallel what you've described yourselves. Elaine, I'm going to call on you first. Everything that you've heard Kathy say about her community group support with regards to citizenship, does it resonate with you, or have you had a different experience?
Yeah, pretty much, resonates with me. Um, I would just add one suggestion. Because the application asks for every single address that they have ever lived at in those 3 years, um, even if you've only lived there a few days, they want that address. And when they first arrive, we put them up. One sponsor has them for a couple weeks or whatever. Those addresses have to also be recorded. And that's hard to remember back 3 years ago, exactly where you lived, what apartment number it was, etc. So we give them a template from the get-go to just keep track of every address they're ever in from the minute they arrive till that citizenship comes. And I think employment too. They want a record of every single work experience you've had. So again, a template for over those 3 years for them to just keep a record so that when it comes to that part of the application, they're not sitting there scratching their head going, oh God, I can't remember where I lived when I first came to Canada and stuff. So that just makes it a little bit easier. And then you mentioned, Kathy, some online, certainly tons of online resources, and the public libraries here in Toronto have a lot of practice questions, etc. too. But there are great Discover Canada is the study guide, and I think it came out of Manitoba, and I don't know if it was Winnipeg or not, but I found an excellent study guide, a simplified version of the Discover Canada study guide, because I was helping an individual who was basically functioning at a grade 1 level. And we were determined to try to get this citizenship. His doctor would not sign the waiver, saying that he had a cognitive impairment, which was very unfortunate. So I basically made the Discover Canada a picture book, trying to do it, and studied with him for hours every day for a couple months to do it. He failed the first time, but you do get 3 shots at it. And he was able to pass the second time. If you do fail 3 times, that 650 fee is gone and you pay it all over again. And I've had a friend fail it 3 times and had to pay it all over again. At that point, that individual, his doctor, did sign that he was not capable of it. I mean, when they come older to Canada, it's harder to learn. And yeah, some are going to wait to age out of it. But, not everybody's good at picking up another language, period. And English could be their fourth language that they're already learning too. So it is a pretty high bar. And as Kathy mentioned, the questions, I don't think I could have passed it before studying, in all honesty, too. It's very hard and very tricky. Some of the multiple choice questions are very tricky. So yeah, just resonates, and check online for additional sources to help you get through this.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Elaine.
Can I just say, Elaine, I know what I wanted to say before, 62 pages. It's 62 pages for 20 multiple choice questions. I mean, come on. Like,
Mhm.
it's just so much information for 20 questions, so it's
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Elaine. Elaine, would you be willing to share the templates that your group has, the address and the employment templates that your group has designed?
Yeah, I don't have them right here in front of
No,
me.
no, no. I
But
mean, afterwards,
yeah,
afterwards. You could share
absolutely.
with everyone on the
Yeah,
call.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but yes, I can do that. Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you. Jasper, what about you? As a sponsor, anything to add to, or a question to Kathy you want to ask? You're on mute, Jasper.
Sorry. No questions. A lot of what Kathy has said really has resonated with me, and the number of pages and for 20 multiple choice questions are mind-boggling. Yes, I do have discovered that I've gone through the whole process with Catherine in years gone by. It was basically paper, and now it's they are asking you to. They would prefer that you apply through their portal, but you can, as Kathy also said, you can download the application and fill it out and also send it by courier to them. The main place actually that you send it to is located in Nova Scotia. I think it's, I'm not sure if it's Doncaster, I believe so, or Waterford, one of the two places. But anyway, yes.
I think it's Sydney, Nova Scotia. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Sydney. Yes. The only thing I would add is based on my own personal experience. I came to Canada as an immigrant, but interestingly enough, I came from the UK. But because I don't look like your typical European Brit, I was considered to have come from elsewhere. But I also, interestingly enough, had an issue with language because the Brits use language differently than Canadians do. And we also have different meanings for the same words. And so, I personally had went through a culture shock because of that. And so from that experience, when I am relating to or communicating with the sponsorees that I've had, I've been able to, when they were interested in going through the process of citizenship, we're able to provide them with sort of a nuanced ethnocultural perspective on Canadian history and culture and the legal system and the resource economy and also and its economic structure, because I had that personal experience. When I came to Canada, I landed in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And as a result, I was immediately immersed in not only the English culture, but also the French culture as well, based on Manitoba's unique Métis history and the Erie Rail fiasco. So through that, I learned a lot of nuance experience around the relationship between Indigenous people and French-English colonial culture. And so I was able to utilize that. Also, I had people in my high school who were from Indigenous communities as well. So through that, I was able to develop a sensitivity, I should say, a sensitivity to what was going on in Canadian society. So I utilized that with my folks, and also help them to realize that when you are interfacing with people, you're dealing with individuals. So one individual may ask for something that another may not. And so it's important, like you said, Kathy, to keep your documents, because it's really important. And also, I also passed
So
on
Jasper,
yes.
Jasper, in the interest of time, I just want to give an opportunity for others on the call to ask questions. Do you want to maybe wrap up your thoughts?
Yes, I will do that. I just wanted to say that I had them actually, I've now forgotten, forgotten what I was going to say. So I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Jasper. Rahima, also on our PRS and Services Committee, you are not a sponsor, but you came to Canada as a refugee. Kathy shared with us that many of the families she sponsored, having this Canadian passport was so important and valuable an asset. Where are you personally in your journey towards citizenship? Think back to day one and today. How many years has it been? And where are you in this road to citizenship?
Yeah, so almost 4 years ago, like not almost, it becomes 4 years that I came to Canada as a refugee, didn't have any document in my hand, but hopefully because of the program that I came, like a special measure for Afghans, I could get my PR after 4 months of my stay in Canada. So I got my PR and I become eligible to apply for citizenship. Till the process of getting the PR, I didn't know what are the process, like really how things are going on. So everything has been done by a settlement worker who were helping us at that time. But with the citizenship, I got to apply. I applied for myself. I applied for my parents, also my aunt, for the whole family. Yeah, I wasn't thinking that it would be, for me, it was easy to apply because I had all the records for my family. I had remembered everything. And, but the other thing is like my mom, me, and my aunt, we got our citizenship. But for the rest of the family, still it's pending. We don't know where is it, like what will happen to the application, and whenever we are calling them, so there's no answer there. Like we are on the background check. The background check is going on. So if it's okay, like especially for my dad, they don't give us like any exact answer, no answer. Yeah, that is the challenging part. Still, we are waiting for two of them. And I applied for two of my friends as well for the citizenship. They even didn't get an acknowledgement later. So they didn't confirm them. It's almost 5 months that they didn't even confirm that they received the application and the application is completed. So that is a challenging part. Also, the test, the citizenship test, it was a bit challenging. I was thinking that it might be challenging for my mom, and fortunately, they got exempted because of their age. So that was okay. And I also recommend that for those that their English is okay and good, they can download an application. It's called Citizenship Test. That helped me a lot, and also it helped my sister a lot with the citizenship test. So it has question and answer, like especially designed, like specifically designed as a citizenship test. So you can find like a question and multiple choice answer. Everything is like separated, like history, culture, like entertainment in Canada. So that helped me a lot. That helped me and my sister because we were busy, but whenever you are like free or you're sitting in the bus, you can just keep practicing. That helped me a lot. But yeah, unfortunately for some people, the process is not as for my like or for my sister. So it was completely different. Still, it's going on. For my father, it becomes like almost a year that the citizenship is in process. They are in background check, and we don't know when they will let us know what's happening. He got into the interview, in-person interview. So after that, the process is stopped.
Thank you, Rahima. Kathy, any advice for Rahima?
Yes, that's a good thing that you brought that up because I also had two, so I don't feel so bad because I had two Syrian men and it went on for almost two years. 2 years, and no explanation. And they were asked to have fingerprints. Have you ever heard of that? Like
Yeah.
I had to take
Yeah.
them to the local place to get fingerprints, right? And then I had to do it twice because they said they never, so there are often these kind of complications. And like you say, you call, they said it's in progress, there's nothing, so why? I always say, I think your file went to the bottom of the pile by mistake or something. Why? Like there doesn't seem to be any reason. I have a 17-year-old. It's 2 years in November, and I can't find out why. And the girl at the MP, she said everything is okay, but why? I don't know. So you have to understand that those kinds of things happen, and it's really frustrating because some come really quickly and others don't. Why? And the guy at the police station said, "Oh, I sent them," and then they said, "No, we don't have them." So, anyways, there are those kinds of complications that are really frustrating. So, thanks.
It is truly frustrating. I see Elaine has her hand up. We have 2 minutes to go, Elaine. So if you can make it very, very quick,
Yeah.
a question, I hope.
So, yep. Just a comment to that effect, and I think Bill put it in the chat too. If you have a waiver, they throw out the timeline. So if Rahima, if your father is outside of the age limit and has the waiver, there is no timeline into how long they can take to process that application. I've had an individual, it took over 3 years to do it. And finally, my MP, or his MP actually, moved on it. But if you are writing the test and there's no waiver, there's no aging out, then they have a very strict timeline that they will follow, and you are entitled to an answer within that time frame. But once you have a waiver, they have told me, IRCC has told me directly, there is no timeline. They can take as long as they want. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Elaine. Kathy, on behalf of PRSN and myself personally, thank you for the work that you are doing in Pictou County over the last few years. Keep up the great work, and we'd love to stay in touch with you here at PRSN.